that song stuck in my head. Jenny, I wanna ruin our friendship. Whew, I might actually have to listen to that song after the stream, of course. Alright, we are back here at the Stormer Show. Thank you for watching, thank you for following, thank you for subscribing on YouTube, thank you for blowing this channel up. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, anyway. I really want to listen to that song, Jenny, I want to ruin our friendship, but the number one reason that I do not is because I do not want to get any copyright strikes on my channel. So I will have to do it off stream, I'm thinking. And if you would like to listen to it during my stream or while watching this video, you absolutely can. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into Ace Attorney. I like moving my camera up to the top so that way you all can see what's happening on the screen. And I might pilot Fallout 76 stream starting tomorrow, where it's just pure commentary. I think for that we're gonna try to start a little bit early, maybe afternoonish. That way I can cut my roommate a break too, because I know she likes it quiet at night. Alright, here we go. Episode 5, Rise from the Ashes, Day 2, Trial Former. Okay. February 23rd, 9:34 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? This is the Chief Prosecutor, Lana. Frankly, there are still a lot of gray areas, and we covered a lot of ground yesterday. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Lana says she did it, and I believe that the biggest contradictions to that claim that I see and notice are the testimony of Emma and the knife itself. The knife itself, as I recall, it doesn't have any fingerprints on it. Yeah, no prints. So, no Prince the Entertainer, like no prints at all. So, that tells me that either she erased the prints on the knife after killing... I can't even remember who the victim is in this case. Bruce Goodman was the victim. He's a good man. He's the detective in charge of Homicide and Criminal Affairs Division 1. 36 years old when he died. We got the cowboy patrolman, Jake Marshall, investigating the incident at the prosecutor's office. Thinks he's a cowboy. I would say he's pretty convincing. He's definitely got the attire and the lingo down. Angel Star was the mysterious lunch lady witness to the murder, known as the Cough-Up Queen. Lana Skye, she's 29, the defendant and chief prosecutor for the district, wounded on her right hand. Okay, and of course we have Emma Skye, the high school junior and self-styled scientific investigator, client, sister of Lana Skye. I'll try to pull my chat up too, so that I can see what you guys say. And I think the key is getting my chat moving to work on my conversation skills. But I don't know, I'm kind of one of those guys that finds it hard to think of what to say when no one's saying anything. So I guess that is a mountain that I will have to climb. Miles Edgeworth, a gifted prosecutor and a ruthless man who'd do anything to get a guilty verdict. I believe the body was found in his car. The Gumshoe's detective at the local precinct in charge of the initial investigation. Okay. As you can see, we have a ton of evidence from yesterday. I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Yes? A defense attorney should never believe their clients. She's a prosecutor. Why would she say that? There have to be times when people tell the truth, right? People don't always lie. The defendant is called to trial because they are suspected of wrongdoing. Right, but a foundational belief in the modern justice system is called the presumption of innocence. And what that means is people are innocent until proven guilty. Just because someone's suspected of something doesn't really mean anything. What separates Homo sapiens from the Neanderthals is our ability to make up stories, use our imaginations to come up with stuff. And sometimes that has very harsh outcomes in the courtroom. Sometimes that has very serious legal ramifications. Which is why it's important that we listen to what people have to say and we corroborate that with the evidence. Suspicion alone doesn't really mean anything. Never forget that. Miss Sky, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there is one decisive difference between you and her. And that is, you're not a defense attorney. I believe it's almost time for the trial. Good luck, Mr. Wright. Alright, let's do it. My first trial without a Fae helping me. No one's going to bail me out this time. I think that I'll be alone there. I think that Phoenix is relying less on the Faes anyway. Like when it started, Mia was actually there in the courtroom. Then episode 2, she died. She was replaced by her sister Maya. Then Maya was helping us and assisting us. But in the last episode, she wasn't really as big of a player in that trial. Because she was being silenced by Karma. And she also wasn't able to summon Mia. So she wasn't playing as big of a role at that time. Okay, I'll be alone in there. So I have to discover the truth all by myself. Shouldn't take too much. I mean, we're pretty good at solving mysteries on this channel. So this should be no, shouldn't be too tricky. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole way. Okay, Emma's gonna be the one replacing Maya now. I guess so. February 23rd, 10 o'clock a.m. District Court, courtroom number 1. Number 9. I want to say number 1 for some reason. There's Edgeworth over there. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Longsky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Phoenix says, like, almost his catchphrase. The defense is ready, Your Honor. He says it every episode. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. While you can, Edgeworth, because we're going to make you eat those words. Edgeworth. Squilliam. Oh. Okay, let me shut my door just in case. That'll help. Won't be a silver bullet, but it'll help. It's been 2, and I'll try to keep the volume low enough. I've got a microphone, so I'm gonna count on my Twitch audience. You guys will have to let me know if you cannot hear what I'm saying. Test. Yeah, it looks like my oops. It looks like my mic is picking up. Test. even when I'm talking like not that loud, it should still be able to pick up my voice. Which is part of the reason why I got this headset in the first place. It's been 2 months, but I haven't been in a courtroom since this trial. I hope that personal feeling will not be a part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. Good for you, Edward, good for you. The judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else. Very well, Mr. Edward. Your opening statement, please. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye has committed an unpardonable crime. Again, you're assuming she did it, which is not a claim you can make until you make that connection with evidence. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's office lot. Although she did confess to the crime already, so that can change some things. Okay. No, oh yeah, she did it in law. Wow, he's much more forceful in person. Emma is an Edgeworth fangirl. I suddenly feel like confessing everything. Okay, miss, you're also underage, so try to keep it under control, okay? However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There's a witness to her crime. A professional witness. Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edward. The prosecution calls its first witness, Miss Angel Starr, to the stand. The cough-up queen, if you know what I mean. Haven't I seen you somewhere? By the looks of it, in perhaps a Broadway show, Judge. Yeah, Broadway show. She might be a woman of the night too, based on how she's dressed. We don't know. We don't ask too many questions. You had the caviar lunch, right? Oh, caviar. I've never eaten caviar before. The judge is really wolfing it down. For you, I have a guest book. Thanks. Will the witness state her name and profession? I'm you, sir. No one ever gives Edward their name. It's kind of a running joke with the series. Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? It's too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. Don't make me ask you again. Well, Your Honor, how does it taste? So this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty it hurts. Caviar is fish eggs. I don't think I've ever actually tried it. But it sounds gross. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca. I heard it's bad. I heard it does not taste good. What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? Name, profession, now. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Maybe the name is Angel Starr. Don't go forgetting that. I found myself running Lunchland these days. Ho ho ho. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Judge. Eating does not prevent you from hearing things. Okay, you could still listen to her testimony while you're eating something. Or drinking something, for that matter. Like, I could still hear everything while I'm drinking my drink. What a drink it is. Gatorade. Well, I'm rocking my Heroes of the Storm shirt that I haven't worn in a while. I actually haven't played Heroes of the Storm in a very, very long time either. I think I stopped playing right around the time they pulled competitive play support. I was kind of like, well, what's the point of going on anyway? And I think it's about that time that the game's popularity crashed. Anyway, I was getting like crazy 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute queue times, and I was like, yeah, it's just not worth it anymore. But in its heyday, it was a fun game, for sure. I think my favorite character... I like playing Arthas. I like playing one of the tanky heroes, like I like Diablo. I really like playing Tychus. I think Tychus was my main favorite character for the longest time. And over time, I also grew really fond of playing James Raynor. Feeling full of daylight. So good. I just love Tychus's quips sometimes. Look, sure does suit you. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Hurry up. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime. Your Honor, as Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional. What exactly does that mean? Until 2 years ago, Miss Angel Star was a special investigator with the police. She was a first-rate homicide detective. So what happened to her? Looks like she's in a completely different line of work now. What? Star was a detective? Oh. I know who you are. Cough up. Cough up Queen Angel Star, Your Honor. Long time no see. Very well, you may continue with your description, Miss Star. And please don't tantalize me. Just who is this lady? If I might have the court's attention over here. The parking lot of the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. A block is for the prosecutor's office personnel. B block is for the visitors and clients. Chain ladder separates the 2 blocks. I suppose that's to keep visitors from taking up the prosecutor's spaces, yes. Yeah, because how dare they park in the prosecutor's parking spot? How dare they even think of it? The crime took place by a car in the back of A block in the car trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with this knife and went to drive the body out. Fortunately for her, there was a witness, and the arrest was made on the spot. And who was this valiant witness? Why, it was me, Your Honor. Parking lot floor plans added to the court record. The parking lot, Edgeworth's car. Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime? Of course, Your Honor. The question is, why would the chief prosecutor murder a detective literally in the police station? That still doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's like, why'd you do it? I don't think I've had the time or opportunity to ask her yet, but that would be a good question to get around asking. Immediately after that, I apprehended the chief prosecutor. Seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Well, Mr. Wright? I can't agree on principle, Your Honor. It seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Shall I proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining? If you can, then give them your worst, Miss Star. Wait, are they talking about me? Judge, you're supposed to be impartial. I know she's very attractive, but that doesn't mean you need to give in to her every whim, okay? You have to practice self-control. Restraint is a valuable skill for any man to practice. Somehow I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend when I sensed something. Perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Bringing a lunchbox to your boyfriend? How touching. It always fills my heart with joy to see a girlfriend being nice to her boyfriend. As you see, there's no room for doubt. The key point of your testimony seems to be nothing other than the point of the knife which you saw being stabbed into Detective Goodman. So how does it feel to be so utterly crushed? I'm still thinking about that. Exactly. There's not really a whole lot we can do from our defense attorney position. It's like, she's already confessed to the crime. What more? Angel Starr saw her stabbing Detective Goodman. So, where's the contradiction? It's merely a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. What's that reference to? The Black Knight from Monty Python and Holy Grail, is that it? Yeah, that's one. It's just a flesh wound. I believe the guards would say that too. In Fable. Fable guards. I think if you would hit them, they would say that. It's just a flesh wound. And you're like, I think it's a little bit more serious than that. You're not long for this world. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. It's just a flesh wound, and you like just smacked him with his. It's just a flesh wound, and you like smacked him with your sword, and he just did like a 360 spin after like face planting on the ground. Like, yeah, it's just a flesh wound, alright. You'll be able to just walk that off. Okay. Somehow I always knew a day like this would come. How did you know? I respect the prosecutor's basic abhorrence of crime, but their methods are utterly twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. For much that his uninformed opinion is duly noted. There are also a lot of rumors swirling around Edgeworth about his tactics, given that they're used to erasing inconvenient evidence at their whim. Killing off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. Ms. Starr, do you have something personal against prosecutors? I thought that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'd still be one. Laid off? She was fired. To me, prosecutors are nothing more than nerves. That said, I'm a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless. Very well. You may continue, Miss Starr. It doesn't really, like, laid off, fired, it's all the same stuff, right? You left a job against your own will. Sometimes the person who was fired or laid off is responsible, but I would say 9 out of 10 times they're not. It's an organization's decision. It's like saying to someone like, you know, that horrible thing happened to you because of you. And that isn't always the case. Right? Sometimes horrible things happen to good people. And sometimes there isn't really a good reason for that, because that's the world we live in. Anyway, I was on the way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. Okay, hold it. This boyfriend, he's the detective. Not that boyfriend, the security guard. That boyfriend? You have several? Yes, this boyfriend, that boyfriend, and the other boyfriend. I've got a boyfriend for every day of the week. What you gonna do about it? Care to join? Yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants. I'll stick with lunches, thanks. Note to self, the judge had to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot in A block. It's up on the second level so you can see everything from there. That would be the room with the security sign. Incidentally, did you bring your lunchboxes by car? Since I'm a visitor now, I parked in B block. So she was in B block when she witnessed the crime. The crime occurred in A block. And I sensed something, perhaps it was my fondly honed detective's intuition at work. Oh wait, you sensed something? So you're saying you had a premonition of the murder? It felt like, how would you say? Oh yes. It was like the feeling you get when you view a pumpkin chock full of seeds. I have no idea what that means. I don't either. Speaking of a detective's intuition, wasn't the victim Mr. Bruce Goodman also a detective? Yes, well, he was like a young cheese. Young cheese? A pale white cheese, not yet tangy with experience on the streets. A greenhorn. Then I must be hard yellowed and sharp as a tack. I have the odor of an old cheese to match. In any case, there in the lot, I felt something stirring in the back of my mind. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. By garish car, you mean Mr. Edgeworth's car, yes. Mr. Edgeworth. Incidentally, the knife with which the victim was stabbed was also Mr. Edgeworth's, wasn't it? Indeed, it was. What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, you're sure was the defendant. I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I'm certain it was her. If she's telling the truth, we're doomed. Yeah, exactly. There's not much I can see. Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always nitpick. Witness, in your testimony, you clearly stated the following. Prosecutors are nothing more than worms. Ergo, you are a biased witness. You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, Rookie. Huh? Rookie? Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me. I'll fry you like a fritter, crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside. Uh-oh. She's a man-eater. Oh, there she goes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. There she goes. She's a man-eater. That was inspiring. Hollow Notes. Great, I don't know. I believe I've heard that tagline elsewhere. I could cry plagiarism. I may be relegated to the lowly post eventually, but my instincts are honed. A photograph? You took this? The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over and snapped and took a picture. In fact, one of my lunchboxes is rigged with a camera. I suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck. Witness, why am I only seeing this photograph just now? I think I'd show it to you, a prosecutor. Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs. Well, this is most certainly the defendant. Crime photo added to the court record. The moment of the crime is photographed by Angel Star. Uh-oh, that is unmistakably Lana Sky. So what was the defendant doing at the time? Chief Prosecutor is holding a knife in her right hand. Hold it. Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying. I think I'm going to object here with the knife. Well, I'd say the blade was about 4 inches long. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? It is your knife, after all. Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are by nature well versed in the location of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad, surprise said. I can't testify as to her ability to kill an egg. I mean in person. Perhaps a chicken salad set would have been better metaphor. So the defendant was holding a knife, but then... And she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Hold it. Tell the court why you didn't try to stop this crime. You did see her raise the knife to strike, no? The defense has a point. Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was already too late. How is that possible if you saw it like a pumpkin with seeds? You knew it was going to be carved into a jack-o'-lantern, and yet you still did absolutely nothing to prevent it. You're just as guilty as Lana is, aren't you? Too late. Yes, the next moment, the chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon, with a crazed look in her eyes. I see. It's only a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. We can make it. You said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, Star's testimony is flawless. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? Is my sister guilty? Let's just keep our heads cool and press the witness a bit, shall we? For some reason, having her panicking next to me makes me calm. Don't smile like that. Let me try to object with the knife. Because the knife doesn't have prints on it. I think there's nothing else. There's no need to push this again. Never mind, it's nothing. Okay, so I just have this cell phone randomly now. I think it's a knife. It's gotta be. Objection! The witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor. If it dings me, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I can see nothing faulty. Unfortunately, I'll have to penalize you straight. Bollocks. How is that the case when the knife doesn't have prints? It's a travesty, I say. Travesty. try reading again at the end of this show. Just to see if I can figure. Oops. Skip. Case 5, Rise from the Ashes. Trial. Press. And then present crime photo. Alright, do we have the crime photo in our possession now? Yeah, we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Okay, so I think the reason I'm presenting it now is because she is not holding a knife in the photo. Again, the game has a very linear narrative. Like, this is what happens. It doesn't really let you color outside the box. Like, why wouldn't I be able to present the knife if it doesn't have prints on it? Wouldn't that raise obvious questions? Like, why aren't her fingerprints on the knife? I guess people might say she erased them or something, but I don't know. And you witnessed this? You saw this guy stab the victim with the knife. As I've already said, yes. I swear it on my finest salmon swirl lunch. I'm sure that is a fine lunch. But isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took of the very moment of the crime, is it not? Then why is Miss Sky not holding a knife? Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts? Objection. That had to be the weakest objection ever, Edgeworth. Gotta put some into it. But it was still stronger than your ever feeble mind, Mr. Wright. Come now, Edgeworth. Why is he being so critical of Phoenix? If it wasn't for you, you'd be rotting away in the slammer for murder. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photograph was not taken the moment before the stabbing. This was taken the moment after the stabbing, which I assume would be the case because, as we can tell, Lana has a blood-soaked jacket on. Therefore, the obvious implication is that she already stabbed him in the past. Objection, and how can you tell that? Go ahead, Edgeworth. Or Angel, yeah, go ahead. What's better? Huh? See the dark crimson stains on the chief prosecutor's coat? Exactly. So, like, why was the game forcing me to object with this evidence? Just like, why? It wasn't going to go anywhere. But it's a black and white photograph. Yes, it's hard to tell, but this could be blood. Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem, except you. Mr. Wright, are you going to sit there and take that kind of abuse? You got a better idea? Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Namely that she took the picture the moment she witnessed the crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies. So when was it taken then? That's it. If you run out of lunch, you order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understood it, but good advice. I didn't have time to stop her. Prosecutor Sky was cold, calculating like a robot. She killed without pain or remorse. It was a premeditated murder. Without honor or humanity. Okay, so why did she do it then? Objection. Premeditated. How do you know? Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in that photograph. What's amazing is that she didn't get a photograph of Lana while she was lunging. Because that probably would have been the most crucial evidence of all. Like, if she got Lana actually lunging at Detective Goodman, or actually stabbing Detective Goodman, that would have been the single most valuable piece of evidence in this trial. Again, we have a photograph that doesn't really tell the whole story. Well, are those gloves? Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? To prevent fingerprints. If it was not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves. Actually, an astute observation on Edgeworth's part. These gloves do seem to tell a tale of premeditation. Premeditated murder, a serious offense. Witness, add this to your testimony. The murder was planned. Rubber gloves prove it. Hold it. What if she was just in the habit of wearing gloves, like driving gloves? Objection from Edgeworth. The gloves were admitted as evidence when the defendant was arrested. They were rubber gloves of the kind used for autopsies. In other words, when the prosecutor came to the crime scene, she came to do murder. It's the only possible conclusion one can make. Everything was planned. It was a premeditated crime. Again, it does look like that's the case. Impressive. I'm sorry they took you off the force, Miss Starr. This is bad. She's got them thinking this was all planned. If she can prove this claim, the trial's already over. Got to think of a way to show them that this wasn't premeditated. It's only a question, Mr. Wright. We can make it. You said that before. Okay, so I need to object now to her final statement. Something that gives us the impression that it was not premeditated. Okay, so the autopsy says he died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. Yeah, he died between 4 and 5:30 p.m. Okay, single stab wound was found. What more, the parking stub record of parking in the prosecutor's office lot entered lot at 5:12 p.m. So whose ticket is this? Edgeworth's? Yeah, it's Edgeworth's. This is day the day of the crime. The murder took place 3 minutes after Edgeworth parked his car. If only he was held up at a couple extra red lights. He would have been caught up in this whole affair, perhaps. This just goes to show you never know what will happen when you run that yellow light. So does this prove that it was not premeditated? 5:12, so the murder occurred at 5:15. 675, 222, 12-2. The phone call. Is it possible? Edgeworth's knife. Now is when I present it. Why? There are no prints on the knife, which, in my opinion, further supports the rationalization that it was premeditated. Because if she's wearing gloves to prevent the prints on the knife, that means she was thinking about it ahead of time. But let's see what the game says. Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell box lunches for a living, you know. That's a knife. The knife. The knife that was in Mr. Edgeworth's trunk. Indeed, it is my knife. What's with this case? Sorry, I missed that part. Mommy, your prosecutor's bad people. The defense has a request. We ask that the witness provide an accurate testimony. What's that, Ricky? In your testimony, you stated that Lana Skye planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves. Seems like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning. However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing, the murder weapon? I don't follow the reasoning at all. Yeah, I don't follow it at all. How do we know it was not prepared? Is it because the blood is still on the knife? Is that why? I don't know. This knife just happened to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, you don't forget the weapon. Oh, wow. True, she didn't dispose of the knife altogether, so... yeah, I don't know, maybe... Order. Great, now the tide is turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister is as good as free. Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. What? I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a trifling detail. But this shoots a hole in the whole premeditated theory. The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Skye, murdered the detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution need prove, nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. There are no prints on the knife. If it wasn't, why would she have been wearing... I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again. Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated. Really now. Angel's deduction. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure that the prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound like a lot of premeditation, doesn't it? So if I ordered a pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy? In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. suppressor. You said that, but you haven't told us how you know. That's what I'm about to tell you, Ricky. I believe what she just said was a mere prelude to the story she's about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again. Rookie. Never interrupt a storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked. Something's half-baked here, right? And it's you. Try not to confuse the defense with this. You're not very quick on your feet. Now, why did you believe the suspect had intentions to murder the victim? Your actions speak for themselves. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. You've no proof that this guy called him there. You've no proof that she didn't. The burden is on her to prove the claim that she made, though. It's not on the defense to prove that that was not the case. Mr. Edgeworth, thoughts? There's no record of a call made on the defendant in Solana Sky's phone. She might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried to public phone first at least. In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where he was murdered. I'm sure he had a reason to be there. Witness, why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day? I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Why? What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because she didn't have a grudge. Cookie. I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? How am I supposed to know? See, we agree there's a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels, don't you agree? I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This judge isn't very good with metaphors. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. We don't know that's the case. The only way that we would know that is by us asking Lana herself. Would you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. It's purely conjecture on Angel's part. She has no way of knowing that. Nothing else could drive the human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. Hold it. A human machine? That's a contradiction. Objection, please. Can't you find fault with something of substance, Miss Wright? Note to self, Mr. Edgeworth's sighs smell like citrus fruit. You say again and again. How many times did she stab him exactly? We often say chop into 1,000 pieces, but we don't actually mean 1,000 pieces. What difference does it make if the deed is indeed done? How come she's getting mad at me? Let's just say she stabbed him several times and leave it at that. Leave it at that. This is a murder case, people. Mr. Wright, you should speak up if you have an objection, you know? Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective would set her off. Shortwit burns out the fastest since it's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. Okay, so we're gonna go like this. You say she stabbed him again and again, but you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait for the star. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this. Take a look. An autopsy report states that death was due to a loss of blood from one stab wound. Aha, you're right. Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. I was the one who objected. What a hunk. He's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed? A witness. You got the crime scene set, right? Oh, thanks. I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now I realize that such mistakes are really possible. So you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. splattered blood from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice. Then tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. So, first we're talking about the amount of times she was stabbed. Now we're talking about blood. Complete distraction from her, what's it called? Her fabrication. Red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. Okay, red muffler. Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck. So she can be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose. She's right. This guy was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? But wait, isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? Oh, people often mistake my beard for a bib. I judge with a bib. That's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes. Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There's only one knife wound. Again, she hasn't said anything to challenge that. Apparently, Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony. Mr. Wright, this is our chance. Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective would set her off. Okay, it's repeating itself. So I must need to object again. Crime photo to muffler. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation. Objection. This is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or a muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. Oh, okay. And you proved it yourself with this photograph. Huh? But that can't be. Only a professional lunch lady can be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you finally found your true calling. Harsh words, but good. And Mr. Edward prevails. What was my objection? Chopped liver? But it was there, a scarf. No, not that, with something red. Really? Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. What? Earlier witness continued testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. The most important part? The part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might be the moment of truth. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. Quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. Ah yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Starr, resistance is futile. You're the lunch lady, why'd you arrest her? Do you even have that power, ability, or authority? Like... You're quite determined about this scarf, aren't you? I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. That's me, Angel Starr. That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. An oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. Predator, this leopard woman. Wow. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will. Okay, here we go. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect turned behind a partition shot to her side. Hold it. So where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? There's nothing there. Quickly caught her, explain her rights to her, and arrest her on the spot. You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. 30 feet away is kind of far, actually. Maybe I should press her for more details. Yep, do it. I'd like to see this on the floor plans, just to be safe. The lunch lady car was... She was a visitor, thus she was parked in the B block. So you witnessed the murder from here. That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right. There's a chain link fence in front of you. Went over it, of course. Amazing. Cough of Queen Lunch Lady athlete, indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence, so she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high, too. So how did Miss Guy not get away? She was 30 feet away and behind a fence, so I don't know. And the rest of her, she mentioned the muffler. Hold it. She mentioned the muffler. What exactly did she say? If I remembered exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard of her say was the word muffler. Just that one word. Said what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else. Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone. By phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately. My memory... It's like a salmon heading upstream, you see. No, before it doesn't see Miss Starr. The chief prosecutor must first attempt to use the phone hanging on the wall. On the wall? That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently it was out of order, and so she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witnessing witness. Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should of course add this to your testimony. Things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. On the cell phone updated with the court record, the word muffler was overheard during the call made to Emma at 5:18. I saw it all. Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? Aha, I was going to ask the same thing. Let me say this one time, so listen closer, please. The chief prosecutor stabbed the victim and ran behind the partition. And she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. So she pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence. Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, the chief prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this. What is it, Mr. Wright? Resistance is futile. Hold it. She made to escape. Can you be more specific? She brushed aside my hand and ran. It was a terrible sight to see, like a dollop of lard on a plate of foie gras. Huh? She even kicked over an oil drum at me. An oil drum? There was an oil drum lying on its side at the scene of the crime. But it's strange. What's that? If she wanted to escape, why didn't she run the other way? The other, the parking lot entrance. That's right. It doesn't make any sense that she would run from behind the partition to the oil drums. Excellent. More mysteries. I wish we could solve a few before finding more, though. So this guy tried to run. I'm sorry, my sister is so suspicious, Mr. Wright. Not as sorry as I am, but she didn't do it. You have to believe me. I'm trying, Emma. Trying really hard. Why is that significant, though? What does that even mean? She's repeating the word muffler. Okay. Yeah, she explained herself. Present floor plans. Objection. Miss Starr, how to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Scott? Objection. This is a former detective. Your testimony is unmarred by personal bias. Who would have thought you'd be my knight in shining armor, Prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up. Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you wouldn't have seen what she was doing behind the partition because it would have obstructed your view. You couldn't possibly have seen this guy making the phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the backside of this partition. If indeed you were in D block, you couldn't have seen it. Order, what is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. Objection! That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counterattack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about what she saw. She lied about what she saw. In other words, she didn't see this guy using that emergency phone. It does seem hard to imagine how she could have. Very logical. What's the matter, Star? Okay, I got your lunchbox. Mr. Wright, I hate to bother you while you're celebrating your victory. But why would Miss Starr lie like that? Huh? Why would she say that my sister had tried to use the phone but fails? It doesn't make any sense. Why lie about something so insignificant? Oh, dang, she's right. Maybe she really did see her try to use the emergency phone. I see no room for doubt here. You ordered the patootie on rice, right? Mr. Wright, I thought you had something there. Another try. Where she saw it, distance to the crime. I see it in your eyes. You haven't learned your lesson, have you? Tell us exactly what lie the witness told the court. What she saw is what follows. Right? This guy tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Pointless to lie, I see. Let's say the witness did actually see this guy using that emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we've heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Starr witnessed the crime was here. She must have been like somewhere around here, right? In the A zone. I just don't want to get it wrong again. Okay. Security room. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room? Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It's built on the second floor, so you can see the entire lot. She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in an A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime in the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony, you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? So she saw it all in the security guard room. She ran down the stairs and arrested Lana Skye. How would she have that kind of time? Well, Miss Starr, how many years have I been getting the better of men? A lot. Angel Starr. She's a man-eater. To think that the tables could be turned. Today a man has got the better of Angel Starr. Order, witness. What have you done? You used to be a detective, you should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. The guilty, is she talking about Miss Skye? Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? It doesn't make sense. Huh? She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It wouldn't change anything. Exactly. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. That truth still stands. Objection. It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Me? Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. It's like, don't let her tell the truth. Tell the truth for her, Mr. Wright. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B block. It must make a vital difference, but what? What would change? The distance to the crime. Gotta use the bathroom again. I'll be right back. Okay, I feel better now. Alright, let's bring you guys back to your home base. There we go. You should be able to see me now loud and clear. Okay. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. Objection. My condolences, Mr. Wright. But one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. Objection! What she saw is not in question here. But where she saw it is. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky? Well, witness, you. Yes? You ordered the squid wheels, right? The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing a PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Boysenberry for the boyfriend. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass-walled station. Before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. You really had the time to go through all of that? Like, you really had that kind of time? That's why I had to go through the visitors parking in B block. That's quite a detour. Yeah, exactly. How'd you have that time? Probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. 5 minutes? This changes things considerably. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork. You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention. Not really. No one ever hardly uses it. The reason for that being there's hardly any point. Most foods can be eaten either with a fork or a spoon. Like, think about it. Can you name a food that would make sense to eat with a spork? I can't. As a matter of fact, I would take a fork over a spork for foods that are necessary to be picked up with a utensil. For the simple reason that forks have longer prongs on them. Therefore, they're more efficient at picking up different types of food. If you use the spork, I think I would prefer to scoop the food. And if you're scooping, why not use the spoon? Again, other utensils just do the job better. If there's nothing else to use, then sporks make sense, but yeah. Would you like another caviar lunch? Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, you have to do something. Do I have any evidence to stop this? Objection! 5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You can make pasta in that amount of time. If you like it al dente. I've got lunch boxes that tie pasta into knots for you. 5 minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange? If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Hey. Don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Sky dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Yeah. Well then, it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go? Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it. We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. Well, that court is adjourned. Hold it. Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist off on me. I prefer to not take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! Triple decker. Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the lunch lady motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she going to pull out of her lunchbox this time? Yeah, I don't know. Decisive evidence. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going and going. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe, did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. The shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. So where was that earlier in the trial? What? There was blood found on that shoe? Tried Lunchline for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Seriously, where was that evidence? What's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Yeah, I don't know, Edgeworth. I don't know at all, Edgy. Simple, as I've already said. I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed. Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. Yes, you have a boyfriend for every day of the week. You have a boyfriend for every single possible application. There's just no limit. There's no limit at all. Here's a star. In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Did she actually get approval? Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, the shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. No. Is that right, Mr. Wright? Seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Victim shoe added to the court record. White enamel shoe bears traces of blood from Goodman and Lana Sky. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. Okay, decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. Oh, why did you lie about those 5 minutes? I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the results. The results? How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very own eyes. Compared to that, 5-minute blank means nothing. Then why didn't you just tell the truth? Don't make me laugh. You're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence, arranged testimonies, erasing and manipulating evidence. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. This one, the suspect is admitting she did it. The false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with. And now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? No, you didn't. You found the shoe at the scene of the crime. I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive. So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with the shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. The shoe is my secret weapon if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen. I'm happy for you and your lunchbox bag, really. In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of the crime. Now tell us what you did next. 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. What was the victim's? Was it? So you brought it to the forensics department. If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensics expert. She got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective. The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it. Well, the man was stabbed after all. And that blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman. As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. The other blood type matched that of the defendant on the sky. Hold it. You can't say for sure the blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test. You claim to know something about blood tests, Ricky? Huh? Well, speak up. Well, blood comes in 4 types, A, B, O, and AB. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. That's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright. Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all the blood tests out there, which means that we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just one person. Or so I hear. That's pretty specific. If I had a little bit more time, I would have gotten DNA test results. But they said there's very little doubt it could be anyone's but Miss Lana's skies. So the suspect's blood was found on the victim's shoe. That ties her directly to the death of Detective Goodman. I was afraid he was going to say that. The shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. I can't let this evidence go through without a fight. You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? No, that looks gross. Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some like your client. She's in enough hot water to make a whole vat of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with the shoe? A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? There's definitely a problem. I just don't know what it is. I'm not imagining things. I'd say there's one critical problem with this evidence. A clear contradiction. Is it going to be Lana's blood? Like gleam in your eyes. You're still young, Ricky. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now. But you couldn't take the heat, could you? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? Show us the problem with this evidence. Is it the blood on the bottom of the shoe or blood on the side? I believe the blood on the bottom. I'm not 100% sure though. I wonder if you noticed there's blood on the bottom of the shoe. Don't mess with me, Ricky. Or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe. Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. Makes sense, the victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about the bottom of a shoe? This blood, it's my sister's, right? It appears so. Lana's right hand was bandaged when I saw her in jail. She must have cut herself at the time of the crime. Poor sis. There's blood here too. On the sole of the shoe. It's got to be the victim's. Must have stepped in a puddle of his own blood. All this blood, it's horrible. This blood might be an important clue. How and in what way? Let's see, there's all this evidence. Tons and tons of evidence. Blue Badger. I think it's the knife, right? Because why didn't the knife have traces of her blood on it then? Okay, it's saying the crime photo though. Why? Why is it the crime photo and not the knife? The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Is it because there's no blood on the ground? Is that why? And isn't it strange? Why weren't any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? Oh, okay, we didn't see footprints. As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about the shoe. Objection. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. They needed to be there on the scene of the crime, though, Edgeworth. Objection. And where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. There were no bloody footprints there on the scene. There are no Wookiees on Endor. You have not Pascal. You have not collected $200. Order. Whoa, witness. What, huh? Great going, Miss Wright, but it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh, that's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright, think. I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? Hold it. Oh, Edgeworth is holding it. So, I see, now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There is one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. She's beautiful but deadly, a predator, this one, the leopard woman. Wow. I thought that was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that? I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Well, apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory. Witness, well, was the oil drum empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? The water washed away the blood. Still don't get it, Miss Wright. Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason? Ah, you don't mean... Yes, the suspect knocked over that oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. Why would she confess, though? She was going through all these steps. Why didn't she flee the crime? Why did she pose for a photo op? And why'd she confess? That ties things up quite nicely. She wanted to be found. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoes tie her quite clearly to this murder. Then after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs. But that's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence. That reminds me, this guy's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she'd cut herself when she stabbed him? So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe. I see no reason to prolong this trial. Mr. Wright, do something, please. Emma, I've been doing something this entire time. What? What can I do? Your sister has confessed to the crime and she tried to conceal it. But... enough. There is no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well. The Angel Star is on the prosecution's side. She could have been lying about the water. This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, guilty. Oh, hold it. Little girl, what did you just say? Me? Did you just say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side? Well, yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Like... she murders the guy. In 5 minutes' time, she takes off the dude's shoe puts him in the trunk, kicks over the water bucket, and then the other lady shows up to photograph her putting the body in the trunk and arrest her. What is the point? Did she have the time, and what's the point of all that? We still don't know why she killed him. We still don't know that. Well, I thought you had your fill, but here you are demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox. A lunchbox called evidence. Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something else. Objection! The time for deliberations is past. Any further comments and you will be held in contempt of court. The threats don't scare the cop queen. Look at this. Why is she holding back all this evidence? Like, what the heck is this? Photograph? I had just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoes didn't belong to the victim. I see no room for error in this evidence. Literally no one was claiming that. No one was even suggesting that the shoes didn't belong to the victim. That's right, wait, look at the asphalt in this photo. Hey, it's clearly wet. Erasing the last trace of doubt from the court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. I'm sorry, Mia. Right, wet or not. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Get yourself up off the asphalt, take another good look. Don't give up, not until the bitter end. Yes, endings are always sweet. If there's one thing this life has taught me, it's that endings are sweet. Okay. This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for the good. For good. Objection! Sound like Mr. Wright? Yeah, Mr. Wright. Your Honor, wait. What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can't it wait? No, it can't. Then it'll be too late. Look at this photograph, the last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright, are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah, I'll think later. Yeah, there's a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem in this photograph. Is it... this thing had... I'm gonna say this. The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor. You just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph. A muffler is also part on a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe. Maybe that's what Lana was referring to on our phone call. I see, and I see. What's that suspicious looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler? So what if there's something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Objection. Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. Your testimony about mufflers. What? Let's hear what Miss Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth and the muffler is related to this case. The phone. The phone! Miss Starr, call your testimony before the court. Ah yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. It was the muffler. The muffler did it. Muffler, God. Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence. Woohoo! Yeehaw! Well, seems we'll have to suspend the proceedings. Suspend? I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the crime scene inspected at once and bring me that cloth. Or do we wait until after we've seen all the evidence? Agreed? I suppose so. Whew. That was close. But we made it. At least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all. He's still hungry? It was like the Energizer Bunny, it just kept going and going. Trial former and trial latter day 2. We get back from recess. Hopefully we can finish out episode 5. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. We're 23 hours in. Holy guacamole! This episode was almost 2 hours long. Oh man, but we did see the credits roll, so I think this is considered post-game content. In any case, when we return next time, expect more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney gameplay. As I said, I think I would like to start Fallout 76 tomorrow, since I got it, and I'm going to I think try that one audio only, just to see how it goes. Pure commentary only. And as always, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. I would love to get more chat going here, because that is something that can help me when I'm streaming, because I can talk to my chat. And it's also a metric that Twitch uses too, so it would be great all around to just get more chat in general. But thank you for the watchers that do watch my show. And thank you for subscribing on my YouTube. That is something else that I can never have too much of. Can't get enough. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try raid again. Let's see. I think Zach Rar is probably the best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring him down. He's the best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring him down.